Hi, readers. Welcome to Novels with Nat. In today's video, I want to tier rank all of the books that I've given 5 stars. I think, like most readers, when I give something 5 stars, there's definitely in my mind an even more nuanced breakdown or ranking, even just within a 5 star rating. And so I thought in today's video, I could go through every book that I've given 5 stars since I've started using Goodreads consistently, which was about 2.5 years ago, and just see what still stands up as a 5 star in my mind today, or what I think, as a reader today, I probably would have given more like a 4 star, maybe even a 3 star, and just chat for a bit and go through all of the books. So, without further ado, let's get into the tier ranking. Okay, so let's start. So, I think first let's go over the ranking system. So, at the top, I have 6 stars. And so I think, like a lot of readers, 6 stars are just top tier book that you think about all the time. You would recommend to anyone that you really connect with the story and the characters. These are like the best of the best. Then just below that, I have lifelong favorites. These are ones that are still really good and that I would consider to be books that I would see myself enjoying and liking for the rest of my reading life. And then just below that, I have just a solid 5 star read. Just, I have no complaints. I enjoyed the story all the way through, but it doesn't necessarily stand out amongst my other 5 stars. And then just below that, I have I Was Being Generous. So sometimes if I finish a book and it's like 4.75, maybe even 4.5, but I don't have any major issues with it, I'll give it a 5 star. So maybe I was being a little bit generous with a 5 star rating. And then finally, I have I Should Lower My Rating. And these are probably books that if I were to read today, they would probably be more like a 4 star, maybe even 3.5 stars. Okay, so let's get into it. First up, I have 2 Stephen King books. These are the only two that I've given 5 stars as of yet. First is Pet Sematary. I think Pet Sematary, I'm going to say is, it's so hard. I'm going to say it's a lifelong favorite. I loved that book. It was so fun. It was my favorite Stephen King that I've read so far. I've read about four-ish Stephen Kings. Yeah, lifelong favorite feels right. Next, we have Billy Summers. This book I really enjoyed. I'm gonna put in for a solid 5 star only because for me the beginning kind of dragged a little bit. That would be my only kind of issue with it, but otherwise, great book. Really enjoyed it. Um, Next we have Hidden Pictures by Jason Rekulek. This one as well, I'm gonna say solid 5 stars. Next we have The Maid by Anita Prose. This is part of a series. I should also mention that if a book is part of a series, I only included the first book. Um, in this one, I gave the first book 5 stars. The second book, I believe I gave 4 stars. And I currently have the third book on my TBR. But for the first book, I'm gonna say it's so hard because the main character, Molly, is such a great character. She's one of my favorite thriller characters or mystery characters. Um, I'm gonna say solid 5 star. It was good. I don't think it's a lifelong favorite though. Razorblade Tears, that's a lifelong favorite. That was outstanding. It's my favorite essay Cosby book. The characters were so well written, the story was so well plotted, and it was emotional, and the writing is outstanding. Amazing book. Next is The Measure. I'm gonna say that's a 6 star book. I think about this book all the time. It has such an interesting concept. The general premise is one day everyone wakes up and there's a box on their front door with a string in it, and the string length corresponds to how many years you have left to live. And we're just kind of following society as different characters are grappling with this information and how it affects society as a whole, even politics. It was super interesting. I was engaged and invested in all of the different POVs. That's definitely a 6 star. The one I would also say is a 6 star, surprisingly. It's kind of similar to The Measure in that it's got this kind of speculative fiction aspect to it. It's one of John Marr's older books, but I think it's his best. I really enjoyed that one. And we have two more John Marr's books. Next is The Passengers. Hmm. I'm gonna say solid 5 star for The Passengers. And then What Lies Between Us. This was a really fast-paced thriller, um, kind of like a popcorn thriller, I would say. It was a really interesting premise. I'm gonna say lifelong favorite. It was really fun. I liked that one. Next up is one that I read recently. This one is Count My Lies by Sophie Stava. Thinking back, I'm gonna say I was being a bit generous with this one. I think it just has a trope in it that I really tend to enjoy. So when I finished it, I gave it 5 stars, but if I think more critically about it, probably more like a 4, 4.5. Next, we have Strange Sally Diamond. This is what I would kind of classify as a literary thriller or a literary mystery. Um, this one I'm going to say is a lifelong favorite. I went into it and it ended up being something totally other than what I was expecting, but in a good way. And I would definitely recommend it. If you really enjoy character-driven thrillers or mysteries, check out Strange Sally Diamond. It was really good. So next is The Guest List by Lucy Foley. This was a really good mystery. It's my favorite from Lucy Foley. I did find some parts of it dragged slightly, but I would say that it is a solid 5 star. It was a really good mystery. Next, we have Notes on an Execution. This one, I think I was being a bit generous. I really enjoyed it. The writing was beautiful, but I think it did drag a little bit. Next is The Road by Cormac McCarthy. This one, I I'm sorry to say, but I think I should lower my rating. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the relationship between the father and the son that we're following, but I think it was a bit simplistic, and I know it's a classic and everyone loves it, and I also love it, but I don't think it's quite as good as some of the other books on this list. Next, we have Anxious People by Frederick Bachman. This is a 6 star for sure. I just love how we're examining these characters and their relationships, and it talks about mental health and grief, and there's so many themes going on, and you're invested in the story. Definitely a 6 star. So next we have the Good Girl's Guide to Murder trilogy. I enjoyed all of the books. I would say the first and the third were my favorites. I gave them both 5 stars. The second one I gave 4 stars just because I feel like it dragged a little bit more. But I'm gonna say solid 5 star. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the way that the story was told with transcripts and texts and different media forms. It was really engaging. Okay, Grady Hendrix, How to Sell a Haunted House. This book had some parts that honestly my jaw hit the floor. It was so creepy and I was not expecting it to take the turns that it took. I'm gonna say solid 5 star. Okay, Harry Potter, immediate 6 star. Um, My Year of Rest and Relaxation. This one was weird. I I picked it up not knowing what to expect, but we're following this main character who has decided that she wants to sleep for a year. And it talks about, substance use and mental health. And it was really interesting, but told in such an odd tone. I'm gonna say I was being slightly generous. If I had to go back, I would say it's maybe 4.5 stars, but I really did enjoy it. It was really interesting. Okay, Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. It is the only book I've read so far by Taylor Jenkins Reid, but it has quickly become a 6 star. I think about Evelyn Hugo all the time, and I read it fairly recently, so um, I really love that one. Okay, Any Man by Amber Tamblyn. This one, I don't even know how to describe this book. I don't remember too much about it if I'm being honest. So I think that means I should probably lower my rating. Okay, The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. This one I really enjoyed, but I think I'm gonna say I was being slightly generous. It did drag a bit in the middle for me. Okay, The Great Gatsby, a lifelong favorite. I've read this book about five, six times. I absolutely love the movie, which I feel like a lot of people didn't. So it might be a bit of an unpopular opinion, but lifelong favorite for sure. Okay, Local Woman Missing. This is one of my favorite mysteries. Definitely a 6 star. There were so many red herrings. I was constantly guessing and changing my mind as to what was going on and who was responsible. Definitely would recommend that. It's my favorite Mary Kubica book. Gillian Flynn Gone Girl, an absolute classic. Definitely a lifelong favorite. So next is Bye Baby. This one I would also say is more of like a literary thriller. It was really good. Solid 5 stars. Okay, this might be a bit of an unpopular opinion, but I think that The Fury is Alex Michaelides' best book. Don't come for me if you feel like The Silent Patient was 10 times better. I'm sorry, but I feel like most people think The Silent Patient is his best, but I really enjoyed The Fury. I think it was really good. It's a lifelong favorite. Okay, Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. This was my first R.F. Kuang book, and I really enjoyed the writing style. I'm super excited. I think she has another release coming out later this year. Catabasis, I think it's called. I'm gonna be definitely picking that one up. I would say Yellowface is a solid 5 star. They Never Learn. This one, I am gonna say, ooh, I'm torn between lifelong favorite and 6 star. I think I'm gonna go with lifelong favorite just because I can't remember everything about the story, which is usually a bit of a sign for me that maybe it's not a 6 star, but I remember really enjoying it. I loved the main character. It was great. Okay, Saving Noah by Lucinda Berry. This one, I'm gonna say lifelong favorite. It was short, but I did not see the twist coming at the end. He Started It by Samantha Downing. This one, I'm gonna say solid 5 star. It was good. It was entertaining. Okay, Punching the Air. It's a young adult. Um, it was good, but I'm gonna say if I read it now, I would probably lower my rating. And now we have a couple of Frida McFadden. I've read a lot of her books. Very few make it to 5 stars, very few make it to 4 stars, but they are quick popcorn thrillers that kind of get you out of a reading slump, like palate cleanser type books. The Housemaid series I did really enjoy. I gave the first and the second 5 stars. The third one I didn't care for as much, but I'm gonna say lifelong favorite. And then I have one of her novellas. I gave this 5 stars. It was a satirical novella. I thought it was really interesting. It kind of pokes fun at a lot of the common like thriller tropes and popcorn thriller tropes. It was great. Solid 5 stars. Okay, Pretty Girls by Karen Slaughter. This one was a really dark book, but it was really good. It's the only Karen Slaughter I've read. It seems to be her most popular from my understanding, but I'm gonna say that it did fall a little short for me. Probably was being a bit generous. I think I'm gonna put it there. Next of Kin by Kia Abdullah. There were a lot of twists in this book that I didn't see coming. I think it was fast paced. It's kind of like a courtroom thriller, which sounds boring, but it really isn't. I'm gonna say lifelong favorite. Yeah. Okay, now we have a few books by Greer Hendricks and Sarah Pekkanen. Well, first is House of Glass, which is only by Sarah Pekkanen. This one, I think, again, this one had a trope in it that I tend to enjoy, but I think sadly I should lower my rating. Yeah, thinking back on it, I don't know why I gave it 5 stars. The Wife Between Us. I'm gonna say the same. I really enjoy their writing, but I feel like when I finish the book, it's kind of gone out of my mind, which is not a good sign. However, Anonymous Girl, I really enjoyed. That one is going to be a lifelong favorite. I think because I have a bit of a background in academia, this one was really interesting to me. Kind of has like themes of like research and stuff. So that one was really good. Verity, I'm gonna have to say 6 stars. This is one of the books that got me back into reading. It was so entertaining. I want to reread it and see if it holds up, but for right now, 6 stars. On a Quiet Street. This is like a domestic thriller. Serafina Nova Glass. This is my favorite of her books so far. I'm gonna say solid 5 stars. Okay, immediate 6 stars. Behind Her Eyes by Sarah Pinborough. This is probably my favorite thriller. The twist in this book had my jaw on the floor. I think about it all the time. I'm not gonna say anything else. I want people to go into it blind, but it was outstanding. Okay, A Flicker in the Dark. This one, I'm gonna say sadly, I should lower my rating. It was good. I did predict the twist very early on, like within the first 4 or 5 chapters. I did like the writing style, but yeah, I don't think I would give it a 5 star today. Project Hail Mary. This is a lifelong favorite. Sci-fi. It's an astronaut who wakes up on a spaceship, and all of the other astronauts are dead, and we're just following along with him, trying to regain his memories and figure out what's going on. It was great. Definitely would recommend the audiobook for this one for sure. Okay, now we have a few Sally Hepworths. I really like Sally Hepworth as an author. I think she writes more of like literary type thrillers that focus on family dynamics and relationships, which I really enjoy. If you're a character reader, I would definitely recommend Sally Hepworth. However, I don't think any of her books necessarily make it to 6 star territory for me. I'm gonna say of the three, The Good Sister is my favorite. So I'm gonna put that one in lifelong favorite. And The Mother-in-Law, I'm gonna say 5 stars, solid 5 star, and same with The Family Next Door. Okay, now I have The Other Mothers by Catherine Faulkner. This one had a lot going on, is what I remember from it. It had a lot of details. I got a little bit confused at some parts. So I'm gonna say I was being slightly generous. Jar of Hearts. This one was also a really dark thriller. It's by Jennifer Hillier. I'm gonna say, I'm gonna say solid 5 star. Okay, Lock Every Door. I'm gonna say 6 star. It's my favorite Riley Sager book. It's the only Riley Sager book I've ever given 5 stars, actually. Um, the twist at the end was I found pretty shocking. I didn't see it coming, and I liked that it was so unique. I hadn't read any other thriller like that before. Definitely one of my favorites. Okay, Invisible Girl by Lisa Jewell. This one, I'm gonna say solid 5 stars. It was good. The Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware. This one I feel like is Ruth Ware's strongest book by far. I'm gonna say lifelong favorite. It's great. Okay, The Last Mrs. Parrish, 6 stars for sure. Absolutely love it. Such a classic thriller. It was the first of its kind. It's been copied many times by a few books on this tier ranking list. I'm not going to say which ones, but I obviously like the trope enough to have them all be in my 5 stars. Okay, and then we have Famous Last Words by Gillian McAllister. This one I read very recently. It's her newest release, and I've been hearing mixed reviews about it, but I really enjoyed it. It did drag a tiny bit in the middle, so I would say I was being slightly generous, but I would still say 4.5 stars. Okay, next we've got memoirs. I kind of grouped all of the memoirs together at the end. I just want to make a quick note to say that when I'm rating memoirs or autobiographies, I never am rating the actual events of a person's life. I feel like that's their life and it's not our place to necessarily rate them, but I am rating the writing style and the quality of the way that the story is told. So I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy. This one, I'm going to say 6 stars. I think it is one of, if not the best celebrity memoir. Similarly, we have The House of My Mother by Sherry Frankie. This one I was really surprised by. It was also really well written. Um, I, for full transparency, I believe, don't quote me, but I believe there was a ghostwriter for this one. But that doesn't bother me. I really enjoyed the writing in this one. I'm gonna say lifelong favorite. It was really good. I'd recommend it to anyone who enjoyed I'm Glad My Mom Died. Now, I'm a big Amy Winehouse fan, so I've read a couple of books on her. This first one was written by her father. It was really good. Lifelong favorite. I Anything about Amy Winehouse I love, and I'm also going to say the same with this one, which was written by one of her friends. And now we've got Counting the Cost by Jill Duggar. I grew up watching the Duggars, and so it was really interesting to read this book and kind of hear her perspective on it and some of the things that went on behind the scenes that the viewers didn't necessarily know about. Um, I thought it was really well written, super good, lifelong favorite. Britney Spears, The Woman in Me. This one was, I will say, unfortunately, I was being a bit generous. The writing wasn't the best. Beautiful Boy by David Sheff. This one is a memoir of a father whose son struggles with addiction. And we kind of go through, the turbulence and difficulties that he's had with his son and trying to get him help. It was really well written. There is a movie made off of it with Steve Carell, which was also really good. I'm gonna say solid 5 star. Okay, Crying in H Mart by Michelle Zauner. This one was a memoir of a woman whose mother was dying of cancer, and it talks about how the food that her mother cooked for her and her Korean culture was really comforting to her. And it talks about sort of culture and love and loss and food, and it was a really good memoir. I'm gonna say solid 5 star. Okay, last but not least, we have Beyond the Wand by Tom Felton. This one I enjoyed. It was really fun to get some sort of behind the scenes information on Harry Potter. I'm a huge Harry Potter fan. However, I'm going to say I was being slightly generous with this one. That feels right. Okay, let's take a look. Okay, I think I'm happy with that. I think that's a pretty good distribution. Not too many in the bottom ranking, which I'm happy about. It seems like the majority of the books seem to have held true. I was expecting for most books to kind of be in this middle range. It takes a lot for a book to make it to the 6 star or lifelong favorite, but especially 6 star. So that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. It would mean a lot to me if you would subscribe and join me on these new videos that I'm doing. I hope you're enjoying them. Thank you so much. See you next time. Bye.